Hey guys, Ben with Triarch here, and continuing to look at bike positions and bike setups from the Ironman World Championship in Kona this year. We're looking at the position of Robert Wilkowiecki, and I probably did not pronounce that last name correctly, so I apologize. But I picked this one out because obviously we've got some very interesting decisions going on here and some very unique stuff that we do not see on other bike setups in Kona. So gosh, where to begin? Let's start with his position, right? Because it's probably the thing that still matters the most. He is very, very long, so he is pretty stretched out in the front here. And that's, he's already pretty far forward on his bike, and he's that long, and you can even see, his pads are mounted here, and it looks like there's probably at least 5 or 6 centimeters behind his elbows. So they really had to make some custom stuff to get him into this super long position. But wow, it does his head position, the way that just kind of integrates with his back there. That looks really good. It looks really fast. Now, he did not have the race I think he wanted, and so there's a million factors that go into that. But definitely looks really good. What the heck is going on with this bottle right here? This reminds me of the old speed fill bottles, those massive triangles we used to see go in the bike frame down there, and then people would run a straw up there. But yes, I'm sure this is a functional hydration setup, but it is very, very clearly designed to fill in this space. And I'm almost surprised they didn't even just go a little crazier with it, make it another 3 or 4 centimeters taller, and totally fill in that space. But as it is, it's still, it looks like we are just a solid, a wall. But there's no gaps there almost. It's crazy. And yeah, we'll see if Ironman allows something like this going forward. But I personally like the innovation here. I really like the creativeness of what's going on. So looks like he's running an additional aero bottle up beneath his nose, between his arms there. So really just doing everything he can to fill in all of this space. This is the only gap we have, and even then, his chin, if he's actually holding this head position the whole time, wow. I love how it looks, or rather I love how fast I imagine it is based on what I'm looking at. Some people might disagree on the looks of this, but yeah, like a lot of people, running another single bottle behind. Kind of an interesting contraption here. I'm not sure what's going on exactly here, why he decided to put it up here rather than just maybe zip tying it under the saddle in a more standard position like this. But presumably he tested positions and including the rear bottle, and decided that it was going to be faster up there, maybe just more accessible to grab. Interesting that he does have these long Aero socks on. Because it was a non-wetsuit swim, and so that means he had to put those on in T1. So once again, this is a decision that is going to cost some seconds in transition, but presumably he thought that it would more than make up for the time he lost with a faster bike split out there. Tri-spokes, front and rear. To call this a tri-spoke is pretty funny, but it technically is. Basically taking what Head did with the really deep wheel and just making it a tri-spoke. What I have heard, this bike has a very wide fork, and so I've heard that tri-spokes are going to be generally very fast on setups with super wide forks. So I'm glad that he's kind of going with that knowledge and that wisdom there. It's hard to imagine that this isn't one of the fastest setups if we assume that this bike frame from Koo, which is a little bit funny looking to be fair, is within the kind of margin of error of other bikes out there. His split was not comparable necessarily to Sam Laidlow's or Magnus Ditlev's on the day, but I like the innovation here. I'll be curious to see how much of this is allowed going forward, but still big fan of how this position looks. I guess one thing I want to go back to with the position, it used to be 5-10 years ago, people were riding these crazy drops, right? So the saddle was up here, and then it would be the aero bars were way down here. You're talking a 20 centimeter drop. This position looks amazing, and it is almost an even a flat line from his saddle to his elbows. That is like no saddle to elbow drop. And that is made possible by this extremely long position. So you're still able to kind of turtle that head down in line with the back when those elbows are super far forward. And then you can kind of drop your head and your shoulders like into your shoulder blades. So just really, really interesting to see where positions have come, and because you would maybe look at this bike setup without a rider on it and think, wow, that person must be way upright. I bet their head is sticking up into the clouds, and clearly that's not the case. So yeah, just kind of cool to see the evolution of both positions and hydration when it comes to long course triathlon from Robert Wilkowiecki here.